everyone! Look at this guy. Can you believe those teeth? Ugh. I can, because this is me when I was in P6. I was about 10 years old. My teeth were so bad I couldn't even drink out of a glass without letting it pour down the sides of my mouth. Ugh. I wasn't born with these teeth. They were the result of me sucking my thumb when I was little. As you can imagine, the kids at school made fun of me and called me names like Bucktooth Beaver and Bugs Bunny. It was a year and a half after this picture was taken before I got my teeth fixed. I was also much smaller than everyone in my class, and I got picked last for almost every sport. People took one look at my small size and buck teeth and figured no way was I good at any sports. I bet you've never done that, have you? Judged a person because of how they looked on the outside? Well, I have here two presents. One is beautifully wrapped and quite large, and one is quite small and a little scruffy. Think about which one you'd open. Meanwhile, here's a story about my friend Sebastian.
Sebastian gets picked first. This is Sebastian. Sebastian is very smart. In class, he's working on advanced maths, and at home, he's building and programming a bespoke computer. He is very quiet, and sometimes people don't even know he's in the room. As a result, he often hears things he isn't meant to. Sebastian's teeth are a little wonky, and he feels his arms are too long for the rest of him. He loves everything about school. Everything, that is, except phys ed. That's the only time anyone really notices him. When they pick teams, he always gets picked last. The team that gets him usually groans and says, "Not Sebastian, he's useless." Well, that hurts his feelings. But Sebastian always tries to smile through it. No one realizes that his heart is hurting because all they do is look at the crooked smile. No one has taken the time to get to know him. One day, Sebastian was in maths class early. He was avoiding some boys who were intent on bullying him and came into class way before anyone else was there. The teacher didn't notice him sitting in the back of the class because he was very still and quiet. But he overheard the most amazing thing. The maths and science classes were getting together and having a contest, a robotics contest. The grand prize was an all-expense-paid trip to the Lego robotics camp. That was his dream camp, but his parents didn't understand how important it was to him, and they had said no, he couldn't go. This was his chance. As he continued to listen, he soon found out that the competition was only for older students.
No,
He thought to himself.
How am I going to win if I can't even enter?
Sebastian was depressed but determined. He would find a way to enter the competition, and he'd win that prize. Where there's a will, there's a way. He thought and he thought and he thought, and then he remembered that in church, the teacher said that they should always pray and God would help them. So Sebastian prayed.
Dear God, please help me to be able to enter the competition so I can win. I want to go to the Lego camp and I want to show everyone that I'm not useless. Please help me.
Now, Sebastian didn't mean for his prayer to be selfish. He just really wants people to know who he is and to like him. What he doesn't realize is that God isn't looking at how selfish the prayer was. He's looking at how much Sebastian's heart is hurting. And God had a plan to help heal it. Sebastian didn't know that God had a plan to heal his heart, and he just continued to try and enter the contest. Everything he tried just got shot down. The teacher told him no, he couldn't enter the contest because he was a little too young and he could enter next year. Sebastian then sent an email to the head teacher and begged to be allowed to enter the contest. Again, to no avail. He was simply too young to enter. Sebastian was very upset. He hadn't given up, but he couldn't figure out how to get what he wanted. He wandered out onto the football pitch, head down, and thinking as he went. Zoom! A football whizzed by his head. He froze and looked up to find he was right in the middle of an ongoing game and the ball was in play. On one side was a team of kids that he knew from school. They were the ones who were always saying he was useless. On the other side was a group of kids that he might have recognized if he hadn't been busy trying to get out of the way.
Sebastian!
Someone yelled.
Duck!
Sebastian was startled to hear his name, but he did as he was told and ducked. The ball went right over his head again and toward the goal on the opposite end of the pitch. A timeout was called, and Sebastian was helped to his feet.
Sorry, man. Are you okay?
The boy holding his hand out to help him up was tall, thin, and vaguely familiar. Sebastian nodded, and the boy helped him off the pitch and to the bench on the side.
You're sure you're okay?
He said.
Sebastian, are you sure you're okay?
He repeated the question because Sebastian was just staring at him.
Do I know you?
Sebastian asked.
Well, yes and no.
The boy replied.
We go to the same church, but we've not been introduced. I'm Eli.
With that, the boy held out his hand, and Sebastian shook it. The boys on the other team were shouting for Eli to get back on the pitch, but he just continued to stand there and talk to Sebastian. Soon the entire team was surrounding them and introducing themselves.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
He just kept saying. Eli looked at the team and said,
Well, everyone, what are we going to do? I'd like to play a little better than we have been.
Glad, who was the captain of the team, agreed, and they began to talk.
Well,
Sebastian spoke hesitantly.
What if you played tiki-taka?
Everyone stopped speaking and looked at him. Eli smiled slowly.
Why did you say that?
Sebastian said,
Well, from what little I saw in the field, you guys are good at passing and fluid in movement. If the opposition can't get the ball, they can't score. The key to the success is overloading the midfield with players who can retain possession of the football for larger periods of the game, adding intelligent, nimble attackers who are able to create space and drag the opposition out of position.
And with that, Sebastian pulled his computer out of his backpack and showed them what he meant. Oh, wow, Glad said. You're right, we can totally do that. And do it, they did. They took Sebastian's advice and won the game.
Great job, Sebastian,
Eli shouted, patting Sebastian on the back.
Hey, we could use you to help with strategy for the team. What do you think?
The entire team agreed, and Sebastian was amazed. They picked him first. Sebastian's heart began to heal just a little bit. This was God's plan all along. Sebastian didn't need to win the competition to get recognized. All he needed was to be himself, and that was just enough. Sebastian didn't get to do robotics that year, but there were many other adventures in store for him as part of the Glad Gang. Sebastian thanked God that he had given him friends who got to know him and liked him just for himself.
Ah, that's a good one, isn't it? Are you wondering how this connects to our amazing you theme? Well, 1 Samuel 16, verse 7 says, But the Lord said to Samuel, Don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see the things the way you see them. People judge the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Samuel was looking for a new king to anoint. He took one look at the first son of Jesse and said, Wow, he's handsome and strong. He's the one I should anoint. But God told him, No, this isn't the one. They went through 6 more sons before they got to David, who was the youngest. He maybe wasn't as handsome or tall as at the time. He watched his family's sheep in the field. God chose him because David's heart was for God. Remember the presents? Which one did you decide you would open? Am I hearing you say the beautiful one? Let's take a look at it, shall we? Can't wait to see what's in here. Well, that's not nice. It's not a nice present at all. It's filled with junk. How about the other one? This one is no good. Let's see. Let's open this one that's small and very plainly wrapped. Let's see. Okay. What's in here? Oh, my favorite lollies. So that was what was in the small and very plain package. I love lollies. Huh. God looks at us from the inside out rather from the outside in. Thanks for watching today, everyone. We'll see you all the next time. I'm going to enjoy this lolly.